Meanwhile, while those events were taking place, in yet another place in Japan, once again, more events were transpiring. At this point, you no doubt are beginning to see the pattern as we fall upon yet another Kentucky, to the outskirts of a small village that borders the sea, a small, quaint home in which a very unusual family lives. Kentucky, get in here, dinner's ready, a woman calls out, as Kentucky begins to rouse from his slumber. Okay, I'm up, Kentucky exclaims, as he crawls his way out of bed. As usual, fresh from his dreams, he opens his eyes and looks about the room to find her there. As always, his shadowy mother, looming in a dark corner. As usual, he tries to ignore her during the day when he can, though she is always there in his dreams at night. He crawls his way from his bed in his room, making his way to the living area of his home, where he finds his adoptive mother and father. His parents unfortunately died of illness, unable to afford the medicines they needed. They did not survive it. However, he was fortunate. While most in the village did not want to care for a child that was not their own, one woman decided that she would be more than happy to take him in, though she was very strange, and her partner stranger still. A man they found adrift, brought in by a fishing boat. A man from a faraway place that those who lived here believed to be a demon. His skin tone and facial features far different from their own. One who did not even speak their language, the words that he spoke sounding like gibberish that no one could make sense of. However, Kentucky's adoptive mother found him interesting and took it upon herself to begin teaching him their language. During the process, they seemed to take a liking to each other, and eventually, after he had learned their language, they were married, and after adopting Kentucky, became an interesting family. Kentucky entered the living segment to the scene that he usually sees, his mother and father having a nice laugh. Then he tells me, "Why is it that you get all the salty wenches?" And I tell him, "Well, mate, if you didn't look like a boar's backside, you might get a few too." Kentucky's father, Edward, said with a hearty laugh, to which his mother laughed as well. A boar's backside. Oh, I often wish I could have met those guys. They sound like a bunch of morons. If nothing else, good for a laugh. His mother said as she continued to set the food down on the table. Fresh cooked rice and steamed vegetables, as Kentucky joined them at the table. Morning, kid. Sleep well?" Kentucky's adoptive father said, smiling in his direction. "Yeah, I guess so," Kentucky replied. "Hey, if my memory serves me correctly, you were supposed to show me how to use it today, right?" I don't know about that," Edward replied, rubbing the back of his head. "I mean, I was pretty plastered when I said that." "Edward," Kentucky's adopted mother, Sheeta, said, giving a stern look to Edward. "Now you keep your word, drunk or not," she said, grasping him by the ear. "You told your son you would teach him to use it, so teach him." "Ow, you're gonna tear it off, woman." Fine. I'll teach him." "Awesome," Kentucky replied with a bright smile. as it looked like today his adoptive father would finally teach him to use what he referred to as a pistol, a strange implement that he washed up with, having several of them tucked away on his person. So Kontiki and his family ate their breakfast for the day. Afterwards, Edward began to lead Kontiki out into the woods, setting up a series of targets for them to shoot at, carrying everything they needed as they stepped a distance back from the targets. "Okay, kid, listen up and pay attention," Edward said, looking down to Kontiki. "This is dangerous stuff. This is not a game. This is not a toy," he said, holding out one of the 3 pistols that he had with him when he was found. "If you use this improperly, you will either die, be horribly maimed or disfigured, or kill or maim and disfigure someone else. I mean, the purpose of the weapon is to kill someone else, but the point is to choose who you kill. So be smart. Don't do anything stupid, and get any ideas about magic or demons out of your head. This is science, kid. The hell if I know how it works, but you know what black powder is, right? Well, this weapon uses black powder to make a little ball of metal fly through the air very, very quickly. A pistol is what you know as a sidearm. It's not going to be your main resource when it comes to winning or losing a fight, but it definitely comes in handy. A pistol has a single shot. Afterwards, it takes time to reload. So, if you're going to use it, you try to make sure that you kill whoever you're aiming it at. So today, you're going to get some practice. There are a few broken pieces of dish over there, some cups and whatnot, that your mom was going to throw out. So we're going to be using those as target practice. Remember, keep your finger off of the trigger until the moment you're ready to fire. Squeeze, don't pull. When you're aiming, keep both eyes open. This little piece of metal right here is called your sight. The sight has a very specific purpose. That is where your bullet needs to land. Line what you're trying to shoot up with the sight, both eyes opened, and then gently squeeze the trigger. That's when the hammer will fall. Squeezing the trigger makes this little metal part, which we call the hammer. It's basically a piece of metal mixed with flint, so it creates a spark. That'll set off the black powder that's loaded into the gun. Be aware, this is going to be noisy, so don't get startled. And this one kicks back, meaning you're going to feel a lot of force on your hand. Hold the gun tightly. Don't go dropping it and breaking it. Do you understand all of that? Edward said, looking sternly down towards Kontiki. Yeah, I understand. I mean, come on, I've seen you do it 100 times. Yeah, but I'm good at it, kid. I make it look easy, he said as he handed the gun to Kontiki. Remember, don't point it at anyone you don't want to die. I get it, Kontiki said as he grasped the wooden and metal object in his grasp. It was much heavier than he had originally thought it would be. Whoa, this is so awesome. Hey, kid. Don't get all lost. Remember, pointing that thing in any direction is dangerous. Whenever you're using one, you need to focus up. I'm not trying to get a hole blown in my foot, so pay attention. Yeah, I got it, Kontiki replied as he looked out towards the targets, beginning to aim the gun. Remember, both eyes open, Edward said as Kontiki aimed the gun forward, drawing a line on one of the targets, and taking a few slow, deep breaths before pulling the trigger as a spark went off and an explosion of smoke propelled itself from the gun, forcing it to jerk back, as the log that the cup was sitting on suddenly burst and splintered, a small hole being torn into it, but not the target cup. "Sorry, kid. It looks like you missed. So, you're gonna have to try it again. Now, let me teach you how to reload this thing," Edward said, grasping the gun from his hand and beginning to show Kontiki how to reload it.